Well, a gun control protest on the House floor has propelled Tennessee into the national spotlight. State Representative Justin Pearson and two other Democrats, known as the Tennessee Three, were expelled. But their activism has kept attention on the state, with thousands protesting for gun control. Despite Governor Bill Lee calling for action, Republican lawmakers remain non-committal about legislation. Pearson and Nashville's Representative Justin Jones have since been restored, and their activism has generated campaign cash for Democrats. Pearson hopes to use the resources to push for preventing gun violence and boosting other progressive issues.
And joining us now is Tennessee lawmaker Justin Pearson. We want to thank you for your time and welcome you to FOXSOUL's Black Report.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here with you, and thank you for the work you do.
Indeed.
Thank you for the work that you do. And so, in light of the recent Allen, Texas mass shooting, we know that the Tennessee Three recently met with the White House to talk about the U.S. epidemic of gun violence. What additional measures are you pushing the White House to take?
Yeah, the reality is the epidemic of gun violence is happening because we have a proliferation of very bad laws being passed at the state level across our country. In Tennessee, we saw permitless carry. We are seeing legislation that'll make it easier for an 18-year-old to get a gun. And it is easier in our state to get access to a weapon than it is to get medical insurance. And this is a problem that's happening across our country. And for the executive branch and President Biden and Vice President Harris, they were very supportive of our efforts of what we were doing at the state level, encouraging of the fact that they are putting resources behind departments to help prevent gun violence, which is something that we need to see. And the reality is we have to look at what's happening in our state houses. It's what's going on in our state house and our state senates that's really determining whether or not we're having legislation that is more progressive or legislation that is regressive. And in the Tennessee State House, the special session was called for August 21st, and we're going to be there, and we're going to be demanding red flag laws, an increase in expansion of universal background checks, and doing more as it relates to resources for preventing gun violence in the first place. And it isn't just mass school shootings that we have to be concerned about. We have to be worried about the everyday shootings that are happening in our communities like District 86, the one I'm fortunate to represent, and do everything that we can to prevent this happening into the future.
Indeed. So we know that Governor Bill Lee recently called for legislation to keep firearms away from people who could harm themselves or others. So tell us, what's on the table and what meaningful measures actually have a chance of getting passed?
Yeah, I mean, we have to be honest that we're operating in an institution that is rooted in white supremacy, that's rooted in patriarchy, that is rooted in injustice and oppression of people. They expelled the two youngest black lawmakers in Tennessee because we did a peaceful protest advocating for the end of gun violence. But that was antithetical to what the National Rifle Association wanted them to do. It was antithetical to what the Tennessee Firearms Association wanted them to do. And because we spoke up and because we stood up, we were expelled. But the reality is the people are demanding to be heard and for change to happen. I'm talking about 9-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds who are coming to the state capitol and demanding change. And so I do believe extreme risk protection orders like red flag laws are on the table. I do believe an expansion in services for mental health care is something that I've heard a couple of Republicans to talk about, but they have not had a change in heart. They have had a change in perspective and a realization that the thousands of people across our state who no longer want this status quo that is leading to death of children and death of people is not something that we can accept and tolerate.
Representative Pearson, do you think your brief expulsion from the Tennessee State House was simply a political miscalculation, or is it an example of anti-democratic behavior on the part of Republicans?
It is anti-democratic to expel duly elected lawmakers from their positions and disenfranchising their communities. When I was expelled, a majority black district was disenfranchised by a majority white supermajority in the Tennessee State House. They are taking our democracy and turning it into a mobocracy where mob rules instead of the people. And it is that disconnect between people and those who are in positions that are supposed to be able to help them that is leading to bad policies or inaction.
Yeah, so we know this expulsion catapulted you and the other two into the spotlight, kind of making you guys, you in particular, this overnight sensation. But it's quite clear this has been your ministry, your calling for some time now. We know that you're the son of an English teacher and a preacher, a PK. Tell us how your parents shaped the leader that you have become and what they think about your performance, your track record thus far.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be here without my mother. Being who she is. My mother had her first son as a teenager. My parents were not born into wealth, but they had two praying mothers. I had two praying grandmothers who helped to build them into who they are. And having a mother and who's a teacher and a daddy who's a preacher has been extraordinarily meaningful, because we've always had a vision and a faith, a vision of a better future than the one present that we have, and also a faith that that future was possible. It was possible through education, it was possible through access to opportunity, and it was possible with God and the ancestors on our side. And it is that spirit that my parents have instilled in myself and all four of my brothers as well, that has helped to propel us in this moment to be who we are and to be strong in our convictions about what is morally right and what is just, and to fight for that. And I'm really fortunate to have a family that's that strong. I have an amazing fiance, as you see in all the videos next to me, who is encouraging but also in the work. And that's what I have in this family, is people who are committed to the work of serving our community. And that's what we need, because we know that we are right. And there's no guarantee about the days that when we will win in this fight. But there is a guarantee that if we never quit, we can never lose.
And speaking of serving the community, we know that you've done so much since the age of 15, all to better your community. What's your message to the young people that are watching right now that may doubt their ability to make a difference? And what's your message around not just making a difference, but doing so while maintaining a sense of joy? That's definitely something that we feel when we see you on the screen and in person, is that you still retain a sense of joy while walking in your purpose.
Yeah, the first speech I gave really to people in positions of power was to demand textbooks when I was 15 years old at our school. And that care and concern of my community has been unabated, whether we were fighting for textbooks or fighting billion-dollar corporations seeking to pollute our land and pollute our water with a pipeline. And now we're fighting in the pursuit to end gun violence. The reality is we always have had power. It is intrinsic in who we are and what we are, that we are powerful people. And to every young person in Generation Z, every millennial, people who are younger than that, like, you've got power. And you are the hope that a lot of people have been praying for and waiting for. And the reality is, this is our moment and this is our time to act. And the folk in church would say, the joy I have, the world didn't give it to me.
Listen.
And the world can't take it away.
That's right.
And it is that spirit of God that is within us that is going to help us in this struggle for justice. But we cannot relent. We cannot give up. We cannot quit, because we are a powerful people. If slave ships and cotton fields couldn't stop us, certainly this current tribulation will not.
Sounding like a real PK
Come
right
on
about now.
now.
Should I grab my wallet,
Pass the
tithes
hat.
and offerings, pass the hat? And let me tell you what I'm looking forward to, because this crown that you wear, I'm looking forward to the expansion. It says so much without saying anything at all. Keep that thing growing. I want one of them Jackson 5 pros. I absolutely love it. It's so powerful, you know. So powerful.
Thank you so much.
Tennessee Representative Justin J. Pearson, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for continuing to put, yourself on the front lines, getting into that real good trouble that we often talk about here on Fox Soul's Black Report. You're an official soulmate now, so we got to have you back to keep us abreast of not only the progress in Tennessee, but nationwide, especially as we enter into this election season. We appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you all so much. God bless.
Indeed. God bless you as well.